They used to call me the ugly high school graduate. You know how most people get embarrassing nicknames as kids and eventually outgrow them? Not me. Mine stuck like a stain, as if the day I walked across that graduation stage somehow cemented my worth forever. My cousin said it as a joke, my sister said it like a fact, and my mother. She just looked at me like the nickname confirmed something she already believed. I still remember standing there in my itchy gown, watching other families swarm their kids with flowers and cameras. Mine stood off to the side, whispering, adjusting my sister's hair, telling her to stand in front of me for pictures because she was more photogenic. I kept smiling like it didn't hurt, like my chest wasn't cracking with every dismissive glance. That should have been my first clue that my family didn't really see me. Not as a daughter, not as a sister, not as someone worth protecting, just background noise. But I was so desperate for their approval that I bent myself into whatever shape they needed: quiet, helpful, invisible. I told myself if I kept trying, kept proving myself, they'd eventually love me the way they loved each other. But people who decide you're unworthy don't suddenly change their minds. They just keep finding new ways to remind you of your place. 10 years ago, when everything blew up, I didn't know it would be the last time I saw them, or that leaving would be the beginning of everything I became. It wasn't a dramatic betrayal, no screaming match, no big confrontation. It started with a photo, one stupid, unflattering picture taken at my cousin's birthday party. I was in the background mid-laugh, and someone posted it online with the caption, "Our family troll finally crawled out." At first, I thought it was a childish prank, until I saw the comments. My sisters joked that the lighting didn't help me. My aunt wrote, "Poor thing." My cousins dropped laughing emojis like it was a group sport. And then my mother added, "She used to be cute as a kid. I don't know what happened." That was the moment something inside me cracked. The next day, I confronted them, calmly. I didn't accuse anyone, didn't yell. I simply said, "That hurt me." And instead of apologizing, they turned on me like I was the one who'd somehow ruined their fun. "You're too sensitive. Don't make everything about you. You're just jealous your sisters are prettier." Later that night, I overheard them in the kitchen talking about me. My mom's voice was flat, almost bored. "She's never going to make it in life. She's a burden." That was the last straw. I packed a duffel bag, walked out, and waited, just for a second, to see if anyone would stop me. No one did. Those first months, they were brutal. I went from being insulted by family to being ignored by the world. I slept on couches, ate cheap noodles, worked wherever I could get hired. I cried in bathrooms at work, broke down on city buses, and replayed every painful moment from my childhood like torture reels. But somewhere in all that struggle, something strange happened. I started growing. I took on jobs no one else wanted and made myself indispensable. I worked late, learned everything I could, saved every leftover dollar. I learned to cook for one, file taxes on my own, and fix things without calling anyone for help. And slowly, painfully slowly, I started becoming someone I actually liked. I found a used bookstore community, co-workers who became real friends, a tiny apartment that felt safer than my childhood home ever did. I learned that I wasn't ugly. I had just never been allowed to see myself without their shadows stretching over me. By year 10, I had stability, financial independence, and for the first time in my life, peace. It was a rainy Thursday. I was halfway through making dinner when someone knocked. 3 sharp knocks, the kind that made my stomach twist before my brain caught up. I opened the door and felt my breath stop. My mother stood there, older, smaller, but still carrying that presence that once dictated every part of my life. Behind her were my sisters and my aunt, huddled together like they were bracing for a storm. My mother's eyes flooded immediately. "Sweetheart," she whispered, "we've been trying to find you." My first instinct was to shut the door. My second was to run. Instead, I stood frozen, gripping the door frame like it was the only thing keeping me upright. They said they wanted to talk. I said no. They said they needed to explain. I stayed silent. Then my oldest sister stepped forward and broke the tension. Mom's sick, really sick, and we need to fix this before it's too late. I felt nothing but a cold, hollow confusion. After 10 years of silence, after years of cruelty, they wanted healing now. They asked to come inside. I refused. Still, a part of me couldn't walk away from the possibility of answers. A week later, curiosity, or maybe closure, pulled me back. I agreed to meet them at a small cafe. Everyone looked uncomfortable except my mother, who looked desperate. She began talking before I even sat down. She admitted to comparing me to my sisters, to allowing relatives to make fun of me, to reinforcing comments that chipped away at me little by little. She said it came from her own insecurities, from jealousy, from resentment she never confronted. Then she cried, hard. My sisters cried too, insisting they were just kids, that they didn't realize the damage they were doing. Finally, my mother said the words I never thought I'd hear. We were wrong, all of us. We want you back in the family. It should have felt vindicating, but instead it felt like being handed a key to a house I no longer lived in. Because the truth hit me right there in that cramped cafe. I didn't need them anymore, and needing me now didn't undo what they had done. After the cafe, I walked home slowly, letting the rain soak through my jacket. My mind kept replaying everything: my mother's apologies, my sister's tears, the promises to do better, the sudden urgency after a decade of silence. And I realized something simple, something liberating. I owe them nothing, not forgiveness, not closeness, not access to the woman I became without them. Forgiveness is a gift, not a demand. Reconciliation is a choice, not an obligation. I told them I needed time, and they nodded like they understood. But the truth is, I wasn't buying time to think. I was buying time to grieve the version of myself who used to crave their love. I don't know if I'll ever let them back into my life. Maybe someday, maybe never. All I know is that the girl they called ugly is gone. And the woman standing in her place finally knows her worth. So now I ask you, if you were me, would you let them back in? Or would you let the past stay where it belongs?